Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We are thrilled to be with you. Rabbi Derma.
So happy you're all here, davening with us.
Good morning, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
And Charlie Scoff, of course, to lead us through
the
Zimra. And a cast of thousands out there ready to join our minyan on Shabbat morning. Can we begin on page 65? It's Shabbat morning. Let's all celebrate a beautiful Shabbat day and the opportunity to be together. And even in this way, it is a joyous opportunity to share these moments.
Let me just say, Rabbi, the date today, someone reminded me yesterday, if you look at the dates, June 13th, 6/13.
6/13.
Of all the days to be focused on davening and on the mitzvot we're doing, this is the day that reminds us.
That's my email address, 6/13.
You got it.
Okay, let's begin. I'm excited. Let's go. Page 65.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech v'navichin b'yom u'b'layla.
Amen.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani b'tzamo.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani ben chorin.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish sharomim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kifufim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asali kol tzarki.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaber.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozeh Yisrael bigvura.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oteh Yisrael betifara.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam anoten layav koach.
Amen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Einu hayom v'chayom lecheinu leches rachamim beinechav einek horeinu v'tikim leinu chasdim tovim baruch atah Adonai romel chasadim tovim liyamo Yisrael.
Amen.
Let's turn now to page 81, where we find the Psalm Mizmor Shir Chanukah Bayit LeDavid. And this will be followed by the mourner's Kaddish.
Mizmor shir chanukah bayit leDavid. Hafachta mispedil macholi, pitachta saki v'tazreini simcha, lezamai zamecha kavod v'lo yidam, Adonai Elohai li'olam odek.
Just before the Kaddish, this is a psalm that I say to people all the time. I'm sure you do as well, Rabbi Derma. If you ever want a psalm that will lift you up in the most difficult of times, this is the psalm to turn to. I love those words, Be'erev yalim bechi. You may cry at night, ulevavoke rina, but in the morning there can be joy. And that's the way life is. We only hope that the setbacks and the distresses of life are temporary, leading to a better day. And that's the nature of this entire psalm. So let's say the mourner's Kaddish now. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabah.
Amen.
V'yalmad yivra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kari v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach li'olam ulomei omaya. Yitborach v'yishtabach v'yipuar v'yitromam v'yitnasei. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. V'yela min kol b'yirchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Ose shalom bimroma, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, Amen. Amen. Page 83, Baruch She'amar.
Baruch Shamar v'haya olam, Baruch hu, Baruch oseh bereshit, Baruch omer v'yoseh, Baruch ozer u'mekayim, Baruch merachem al haaretz, Baruch merachem al habriyot, Baruch mishalem sachar tov livreyav, Baruch chai la'ad v'kayam lanetzach, Baruch bodeh u'masil, Baruch Shema.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch atu Adonai.
Yachid Chai Holy Melech Meshubach Umfar Adei Ad Shemo Hagadol Baruch Ata Adonai Melech Mehulal Batish
Amen. We turn to Ashrei now. As we continue on in our Psuke de Zimra, we're on page 96. Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha.
Ashrei Ashrei Veitecha Yaluk Asela Shem Shchal Ashrei Shchal Tehilat Adonai Yidaber Pi V'Rech Basar Shem Chad Shalei Olam V'Ed V'Anachnu Nevrach Yam Yetaver Olam Hallelujah
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah Hallelujah Nafshi Adonai Hallelujah. Adonai Shom Yadgim Yatav Yamar Yoded V'Derech Yishim Yaveh Yihimloch Adonai Li'olam Elohayich Tzion L'Dovador Hallelujah Hallelujah Ki Tov Zama Eloheinu Ki Naim Nava Tehila.
Those who are praying with us in our Sidur Sim Shalom, we're praying now the last Psalms of the book of Psalms. Through our Pesuke de Zimra, these verses of praise were on page 98. 98.
Magid Rav Yaakov Chukav Mishpatav L'Yisrael Lo Asafchein L'Chol Goy Mishpatim B'Yidavum.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, et Adonai min hashamayim, hallelujah, b'abramim. Vayarem kerli moti lalecho chasidav, lifnei Yisrael am krovo, hallelujah, hallelujah. Shir lai shir chadash, tilato b'kal chasidim.
Shir Chadash, we sing a new song this Shabbat for renewal. B'nai Tzion Yagilu.
Hallelujah.
Nesar malcheihem v'ziki v'nichmem chali barzel lahastot b'mishpat katuv hardahu l'chol chasidav hallelujah 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 b'kosho hallelujah b'kiyahuzo
Psalm 150, which reminds us of the many instruments that were used to praise God, each in their own way.
No play.
Hallelujah b'zilei shama hallelujah b'tzilsei trua kol hashema tahaleya hallelujah kol hashema tahaleya
Hallelujah. Baruch Hallelujah. Amen.
Amen v'amen. Baruch Hanami Sion, Shochin Yerushalayim. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
We can rise, everyone.
Amen.
Amen. Now on page 101.
Atahu Adonai Hu Elohim Asher Bachata B'Avraham V'Hotzeti B'Yokazim V'Samta Shemo Avraham U'Matzata Et Levavo Ne'eman Lefanecha
Echarali Mohavrit Lote
Achiti Hemor V'Tera Et Ani
Kiadata Kiazita Alehim Vayam
Hayam Bakata Lifnehem V'Yavru B'Toch Hayam B'Yabasha V'Yetorfehim Shlachta B'Msolod K'mo Even B'Mayim Azim
Vayoshadanai Bayam Havu
Yisrael Miyad Mitzrayim Vayar Yisrael Mitzrayim Erasvadaya Vayar Yisrael He'er Agdola Asher Asa Adonai B'Mitzrayim V'Yeroham Et Adonai Vayaminu B'Adonai U'Moshe Avdo Az Yashir Moshe U'Bnei Yisrael Et Ashir Hazal Adonai Vayom
Vayom Rulehemo
Ashir
Ashir
Adonai Ki Gaga Doserach V'Arama Vayam Vazi V'Zimratya Vayehi Lishua De'eli V'Yamehu Rabbeinu Adonai Shmilcha Adonai Shema Shali Shav Tubel V'Yamsuf Tahamad Yichas Yomu Yadu V'Msalah
So the words of Shirat Hayam, our song of freedom on page 102.
Adonai imlach li'olam va'ed Adonai imlach li'olam va'ed Yilarnai hamluch Moshe Bogoim V'alamoshim b'hasion l'shmar reisa v'hai Adonai hamlucha v'hai Adonai melech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shema
Echad Nishmat Kol Chai.
Mat Kol Chai, Tevarech et Shimcha Adonai Eloheinu.
So we offer some praises to God for the life that we enjoy, for the blessings that are ours.
Ilufinu malei shirakayam.
Ilufilu malei shirakayam. Ein anachnu maspikim lehodot lecho. Adonai le'lavotenu. Pamit hatovot shasiti motenu imanu. Akeinu ruach neshama shenafachta bevatenu.
Mi melach umi yishvelach umi yarach lach Ha'el hagadol hagibor v'hanora el elyon kahanei shamayim v'aretz Na'alelcha u'neshebecha u'nevarcha u'nevarch et shem kodshecha ka'amur LeDavid machi nafshi et Adonai v'chok rabbai et shem kodsha Tasumot uzecha Hagadol b'chod shemecha, Hagibor lanetzach, v'hanor b'norotecha, Hamelech hayoshev, al kisei ram v'nisa.
Yashikoach to Charlie Scott. Charlie will be back later in our service to lead us in the Torah reading. Thank you for that, Charlie. And in a moment, the cantor will be joining us, right, Rabbi?
Yes.
As we begin. Ah, there he is. Good to see you, cantor, once again. You come around, and we're glad to see you. Ah, change places. So let's continue with Shacharit, service for Shabbat. Page 105.
So it seems that the cantor entered in muted, which is okay. We'll continue davening through the next page on page 105, and then the cantor will join us as we turn toward Shacharit and the Shema.
Okay, Charlie, you're back sooner than you thought. Thank you. Yochein ad maron v'kadosh shemo.
V'hi yisharim tidalal u'nivrei tzadikim tidbarach u'vilshon chasidim titramam u'vekerev kedoshim titgadash
U'makalot revavot hamakal beit Yisrael.
Shekein chovat kol yisurim lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu lahodod lahalel shabech lefaher leramim lahader levarech le'alei u'lekales al kol direi shirod v'tishbechad David ben Yishai Abdecha Meshichecha Yishtabach
Shemcha lahat makeinu.
Let's rise. We're on page 106.
Berachot v'hodot ve'ata ve'ad olam Baruch ata Adonai El melech gadol v'tishbachar El hadad Adonai niflad Habocher b'shirei zimera Melech elchei ha'olamim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uborei choshech oseh shalom uborei et hakol.
Amen.
Amen. Hakol yom tov.
Shalom u'chavei hakol.
V'hakol yomru ein kadosh k'Adonai.
Bereshit HaMelech HaMenoma.
Ein keach echad Adonai Eloheinu ba'olam hazeh, v'yein zulatecha malkeinu, v'chayei ha'olam haba. Eheves bilvecha goleinu, v'yimot HaMashiach, v'yein domeh lecha Moshiachenu, v'tchiyat hametim.
And now,
Adon al kol amasim baruch u'barach v'fikol neshama gadlo v'tuvo alei olam da'duduna savim bata hamid gaeh al chayat hakadosh v'nedar bechavod al merkavah zechot u'mishal lidnei chiso Chesed v'rachamim lifnei chevada tovim me'orod shebara Eloheinu yitzaram b'da'at b'bina uv'haskel koach u'gvura matan ba'eliyah oshlim b'kerem de'el melei yizim u'fikim nogan o'ezivam v'chol ha'olam semechim b'setam v'sasim b'vawam Osim
Hey,
Kavod notnim lishmas Allah verina lezecher malchuta kara lashemesh vayizrachor vehitin tzurad avana sheva kol seva Srafim leofanim v'chayot hakadosh.
take it away, page 109. Charlie, Yesher Koach, thank you.
תתברך משה נבא שם מסעד אחרי הרי שעשית יפרוך הסלע תתברך סלע מקרב יושם לפונה לפותחים את פיהם בקדושה וטהרה בשכינה וזמרה ומברכים ומשבחים ומפארים ומעריצים ומרגישים וממליכים הם האל המלך הגדול הגיבור והנורא הקדוש הוא וכולם מקבלים עליהם מלכות שמיים זה מזה ונותנים רשות זה לזה להגיש ליוצרם בנחת רוח בסוף וברונה ובנעימה קדושה כולם כאחד עונים יומם מירה קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מאלוהים הארץ כבודו ואופנים חיות הקודש ברעש גדול מתנסים ליומת צרפים ליומתם משבחים יאמרים ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו ליל ברוך נימוסיתן למלאך החי וקיים זמינות ימי ותשבחות ישמיעו
בורא רפואות נורא תהילות אדון הנפלאות המחדש בטוב
אמור יוסר גדולים כי יום חסדו הר חדש שרת ציון תאיר ונזכה כולנו מהר אליהו ברוך אתה אדוני
Amen.
Let's join together on page 111 singing Ahava Rabbah. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Emla Gedola V'Teva Chomalta Aleinu Avinu Malkeinu Ba'ur Avoteinu Shebatu Becha Avinu Malkeinu Vatelamdem Chukei Chaim Kein Techanenu
Talamdeinu Avinu Rachem Rachem Aleinu V'tein Lehavin Ulahaskin Lishmoa Lishmoa Delasot Kol Kayem Et Kol Livrei Talmud Torah Techa Ve'ha'erinu b'toratecha v'da'avek libeinu b'mitzvotecha ve'yafei levaveinu ve'yahavu yirat emecha ve'lo nevosh le'olam va'ed ve'lo nevosh V'havienu leshalom me'arba kanfot haaretz v'nolivenu goniot le'artzeinu ki em hol yeshuot ata uvanu v'chai lo mikolam v'lashavon ve'ein avta Shimeva Hagadol Estela Be'emet Lehodon Lefoyachem Chomeyavam Baruch Ato Adonai Habocher V'amo Yisrael Ve'yavam Amen.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam ve'shivtecha bebeitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech ובשוכבך ובקומך וכשרתם נאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
V'haya im Shema.
וכסבתו בזו וישלח למעני ומכם ומלכם על העולמות שנשפט על אבותיכם ותיתן כפי השמיים על הארץ. top of page 113. Let's join in together with our tzitzit. Vayomer Adonai Moshe Lemor Daber El Bnei Yisrael V'amarta Alehem Ve'asu Lahem tzitzit Al Kanfei B'gdeihem Ledorotam V'natenu Al tzitzit Hakanav Til Techelet Ve'hayat Lachem Letzitzit וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת אדוני אלוהיכם אמת
ויצי ונחום וקיים וישר ונאמן ויהוד וחביב ונחמן
לדור ודור וקיימו שמו קיים בביזיונו ומלכותו באמונתו לעד קיימת
ודבריו חיים הקיימים
לא עד עולמי עולמים על עושים עלינו אמת תשועתו הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו מלכנו מלך אבותינו גואלנו גואל אבותינו יוצרנו צור ישועתנו הודינו מצילנו מעולם שמך אין אלוהים זולתך
עזרת אבותינו אתה מעולם
עזרת אבותינו אתה מעולם מבין משה בנים אחריהם בכל דור ודור תהילות לעליון ברוך הוא מבורך משה משה ובני ישראל לך אנו שירה בשמחה רבה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו 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 כולם בשמחה רבה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו 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 כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוספלת שיר החדש השיבחו גאולים בשמחה שמחת היום יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד צור ישראל ומה בעזרת ישראל ופדי חינומך יהודה וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו כראש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני גואל
Friends, let's turn our attention now to the words of the Amidah on page 115b Our cantor will lead us in the opening blessings of the Amidah, and then we will have an opportunity to offer our own prayers, guided by the language of the Siddur, but of course, opening our own hearts as well to the prayers that are personal to us. Page 115b will begin, and then continuing from page 117 on.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Ve'Hanora Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim B'Konei HaKol V'Zoher Chazdei Ahavot U'Mevi Goelim Nei B'neihem L'Mahan Shemo Be'Yahava Melech Ozer U'Fokei U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Abraham U'Fokei Sarah
Amen.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. מחכה לחיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופאי חולים, ומדיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו משני עפר, מלחמו עבר גבורות, ומן המלך, דרך מנית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמונתו להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים.
Amen.
ישמח משה בנצחל, מגיע למחסו.
Yismach Moshe b'matnachel kokim.
ושמו בני ישראל זה שבס עשו זה שבס דורס בני ישראל לא ביני ובני ישראל עשינו ולא נסתו דרהים לגבי הארצות ולא נחת המגיעים לגבי פסילים זכר למעשה וראשי סרועים לעצים כאלה שינו את זה וטהר ליבנו לידך בימינו. ותחזינה עינינו בשמרת יד רחמים ברוך אתה אדוני ועזוב ציון.
Sim shalom. Ose shalom v'namo. Ose shalom.
So Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Shalom,
shalom,
Rabbi.
Shabbat
Oh, can I
shalom.
feel the
Yashikoach
ruach
Cantor.
here in our Zoom room this morning? This is wonderful, and I thank you, Cantor, for really lifting our spirits in song. As we now come to the Torah service, we have a fascinating parasha to dig into. So Cantor will be joining us again in a little bit, and Charlie Scott is going to be doing the laning this morning. But we thought that interspersed as we go through the laning, Rabbi Klein and I would do what we can to add some insights to liven up the Torah reading and to really bring these ancient words to light and to show the relevance that these words have for us in our own day and age as we study them this very Shabbat. So as I mentioned, we're in Beha'alotecha, which means to lift up, though it's interesting because the opening scene, when we get into the very first aliyah that we're going to look at in just a moment, is about lighting the lights of a menorah, that it was Aaron's responsibility in the tabernacle, in the portable sanctuary that our ancestors worshipped in, to light the lights of the menorah, to lift up that light and to allow that light to be lifted up. So we see in the first aliyah that it was Aaron's responsibility, and he took that mitzvah very seriously. Rashi tells us that Aaron made a point every single night to make sure that he was the one who was in charge, keeping those lights kindled and making sure that it was actually done correctly. He took a real ownership over that mitzvah. I think that's an important point for us all to hold on to in general, especially today on 6/13, a day in which we're reflecting on mitzvot and the role of mitzvot in our lives. What ownership do we take over the mitzvot? Do we run to do a mitzvah, or do we kind of wait and think somebody else will do it? That's something to consider. But what I really want to reflect on with you, Rabbi Klein, as I kind of open up this scene, is the image of the menorah. The image of the menorah, which is so central to this first part of the reading. We're not talking about the Chanukiah, by the way. When you hear menorah, you think about the Chanukiah that we light on Hanukkah. This is long before then, a menorah that actually had 7 lights, not 8, and it was that menorah that brought light into the holiest and most sacred place in our ancient ancestors' camp there in the tabernacle. And a fascinating part of the verse that describes how the menorah was lit, many of our commentators hone in on these words. When it says, Daber al Aharon ve'amarta elav, speak to Aaron and say to him, Beha'alotecha et hanerot, you should lift up these lights, el mul penei hamenurah, that are going toward the center of the menorah, that are facing toward the center of the menorah. And Rashi and many of the other commentators pick up on the fact that the lights on one side of the menorah, the 3 lights on one side and the 3 lights on the other, were turned inward, in a sense, were turned toward each other, and that the light came from that way in which they were turned toward the center or focused on each other. The idea of facing or of turning toward another is so critical, and it's a part of the tabernacle in general. We know that the cherubim, the angels that stood above the ark, were faced toward each other as well. And our tradition tells us that it's in the presence between things that really face each other and really are there with each other fully that God can be found. And I thought about that idea this week because as I watch the news, it becomes so clear, and I think we all have this sense, that in so many ways as a country, we are more turned away from each other than ever before, that the people we disagree with, we really have disagreed with in an extreme, that we're completely turned away. But in another sense, it's a moment of awakening. And especially for me personally, and I think for many Jewish communities, a moment of realizing that we need to be turning more fully toward people who we otherwise had not turned toward and learning from them and hearing their voices. I'm speaking about communities of color. I'm speaking about our neighbors of color who we are now turning toward to really listen more fully to their experience and to find ways in which we can join together in solidarity. But that only happens when we face each other and when we exist in that vulnerable space of facing each other. I think the menorah points us to that. I don't know, had you thought about that at all, Rabbi Klein?
Well, I have a similar take on it. Let me try it from a different angle. Okay. And two thoughts. Number one, the commentators all say that the menorah was created out of one piece of gold.
Yeah.
One piece of gold, right? And if you look closely at the Torah reading, that gold was fashioned in different ways depending on where the menorah was. Some places it looked like flowers and blossoms. Other place there was a base. There were arms, and so what the commentators say is that even though there were different appearances or different pieces in a sense of the menorah, they all came out of one piece of gold. One piece of gold. And there the rabbis are telling us that people can look different, have different roles in life, different places in life, different purposes, but we've got to see the commonality. We've got to see that we go back to one core, one fundamental core of humanity that unites us all. But I had something else, on that same thought. I love Bahalotcha. I love the Torah reading. It's one of my favorite, and I have a lot of favorites, but it's one of them. But the whole word Bahalotcha just always speaks to me. Bahalotcha, you light something, and everyone lights a candle or whatever. But the question is, when you've lit a candle, when do you pull the match away?
Yeah.
All right. You're lighting a candle. When do you pull the match away? How do you know you're not pulling it away too soon? How do you know the flame is going to continue after you pull the match away? And so the question is asked, well, what does Bahalotcha mean? It means you light the flame enough so that it can continue to grow and flame on its own. Okay? Rashi says, Ad sheta'aleh shal hevet, that until it can grow, the flame can continue to grow and flame on its own. And I think about that, Rabbi, because it's June and my thoughts turn to summer. I think everyone does. And I get to June every year and I think back to my days in Camp Ramah. And I can pinpoint in my life what was the turning point moment in my life when the flame began to grow by itself. And that was Camp Ramah. That was Camp Ramah. That whatever I had learned in Hebrew school, I learned. Whatever I had learned in Hebrew high school, I learned. Whatever I had learned in my parents' home, I learned, and it was all important, all important. But that summer in Ramah, those summers in Ramah, the flame really grew. They really, really grew. And that became the story of the rest of my life. As a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, the rest of my life was, I guess at that point, determined, because the flame just wouldn't go out after that. It just kept growing and growing and growing. And here I am, all these years later, but the flame is still there. And that Bahalotcha, that seems to me to be the real challenge that we have as rabbis, cantors, those of us who care deeply about Judaism, can we somehow get it to the point where flames are growing, by themselves in children? And I have to say, what you did
I
yesterday
was just going to
in
bring
terms
that
of
up.
handing out those Shabbos bags with the kids, I had the time to come down and be there and just watch people pulling up and the kids coming out to hand the Shabbos bags out to kids, to people driving by. It really was a very special moment. And I think that the kids just helping to make Shabbat for other people in the congregation by creating those Shabbat bags and giving them to them and saying Shabbat Shalom. That was a moment where, the flame was lit just a little bit brighter for them. So Yasher Koach on that.
Thank you. As you were leading into that, I was just thinking about what happened yesterday, because it's so true. This conversation speaks to so much to how we think about Jewish education and how we think about passing our tradition forward to the next generation, or even just passing it on to somebody who might be a little distanced from Judaism. And the idea of Baha'alotecha is that planting of a seed, of just starting a little spark for them to go and investigate on their own. And we can try to convince somebody intellectually all day long, you should believe in Torah and mitzvot because of this, because of that. And all of those words will only take us so far. But when we allow someone to participate in doing a mitzvah and to really feel good about doing that mitzvah, I think it's true. Then we start to see that the spark is lit. And if they feel good from it, they're going to want to continue on. And God only knows, maybe some of those kids yesterday who were part of that mitzvah are now on a trajectory that you were on after Ramah and are thinking, wow, to devote my life to helping others in a Jewish context is a beautiful thing to do.
So what we're coming towards is the understanding, which we've always had, really. You and I have had that because we lived that experience in our own journey Jewishly. Sure. That emotional component of what Judaism means to us in terms of seeing that flame grow within us. I mean, obviously, we have come to appreciate Jewish study and text study in incredible ways. But it's the emotional component that really ties us to our Judaism, to our faith, and to our spiritual connection to Judaism.
Yeah, I said it to a conversion class earlier in the year. You can read about kashrut all day long. You can read about keeping Shabbat all day long. But until you've really stood there with a Havdalah candle and a group of people singing together and felt that visceral, beautiful connection to community and to God, reading about it can only take you so far. And to really throw yourself into a mitzvah so that you can feel the power of a mitzvah is something I encourage everybody to make effort in.
All right, Yasher Koach. Charlie is there. Charlie, would you like to lead us into the Torah reading now?
Sure.
Baha'alotecha.
Okay, if you're in the Eitz Chaim, page 816. 816.
Vaydaber Adonai Moshe lemor, daber el Aaron ramata ela balotcha et hanerod, el mu pnei hamenorah ya'iru shivat hanerod, vayas kein Aaron, el mu pnei hamenorah hela neroteha, kasher tziva Adonai et Moshe, v'zeh maseh hamenorah miksha zahav, adirecha ad pircha mikshahi, Kamare asher hara Adonai et Moshe kein asa et hamenorah. Vaydaber Adonai Moshe lemor kach et halevim mitoch bnei Yisrael v'tiharta otam v'chot haseh lahem l'taharam hazeh alehem mechatat v'heviru to'ar al kol b'saram v'chibsu v'gdeihem v'hitaharu v'lakechu par ben bakar u'minchato soled lulav hashamen ufar sheni ben bakar tikach lechatat והקרבת את הלווים לפני אוהל מועד, והקלת את כל עדת בני ישראל. והקרבת את הלווים לפני אדוני, ושמחו בני ישראל את ידיהם על הלווים, והניף אהרון את הלווים כתנופה לפני אדוני מאת בני ישראל, והיו לעבוד את עבודת אדוני, והלווים יסמכו את ידיהם על ראש הפרים, ועשה את החתחתת ואת החת עולה לאדוני לכפר על הלווים, ואמרת את הלווים לפני אהרון ולפני בניו, והנפת אותם תנופה לאדוני, והבדלת את הלווים מתוך בני ישראל, והיו לי הלווים.
So that was just the third aliyah. And a beautiful laning, Charlie. Rabbi, did you have a thought on that aliyah? I had something that jumped out at me.
You know, why don't you share your thought, because I have something else that takes us to a little bit different place.
So let's see if they're connected somehow. There's a way of connecting Torah ideas. But what jumped at me are these words, la'avod et avodat Hashem, to work the work of God, to do the service of God, which were read in that last aliyah. And whenever the Torah repeats words, it's a red flag. It's a moment where our commentators immediately take note, because we know God doesn't waste ink. And if there are repeated words in the Torah, those repeated words are meant to kind of stir our interest, to work the work, to do the service of God. And we know the Leviim were instrumental in doing much of the work that went into the upkeep of the tabernacle. We also know that they were instrumental in providing music and in singing and adding in that way. But that concept of avodah, of service, through many of the commentators, is also connected to the idea of joy, of joy. You might know on our own bima, above our own ark, we have the words Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, serve God with joy. And there's a joyfulness to that service, to that giving of oneself in service of something higher, something greater, or in service of another. And it really is important, I think, for us to just keep in mind as contemporary people, it's such a different concept of happiness. We usually think about happiness as when I get what I want, then I can be happy. There's a real self-motivation around happiness as we speak about it. When I finally get X, Y, and Z, then I can have a joy, a simcha. But I think what our Torah is really pointing to us to is the idea that joy comes from a service. That's la'avod, avodat Hashem, to do the work of God and giving of ourselves to something higher, to another, that is the point at which we can reach what I think is a deeper and a more lasting and a more valuable happiness. And the Leviim really keep that at the forefront of our thoughts, because they were resistant at first to doing the work. In another point in the Aliyah, and then I'll just wrap up with this thought, we read the word kach et ha-Leviim, take the Leviim. Why did they have to be taken? Because maybe they were resistant, Rashi says. They didn't necessarily want to do the service that they had to do. But once they did it, they found that within that avodah, they could really reach a great sense of contributing to the community and a deep joy. And they provided it also through their music, which is something so selfless and so beautiful. So all that really by way of saying the Leviim in their service remind us of really a Jewish approach to happiness, that happiness comes through work we do for others.
Yes, Rabbi. I'm going to hold my comment to the next one.
Okay.
To the next break in the Aliyot.
Sure. So we're
Charlie?
into now Aliyah 4. So that is verse, let me remind everyone who's following at home, verse 15 through 22 in chapter 8. We're in chapter 8, verse 15 through 22.
ואחרי כן יבואו הלווים לעבוד את אוהל המועד, וטיהרת אותם, והנחת אותם תנופה, כי נתונים הם עלים מתוך בני ישראל, תחת פטרת כל רחם בכור, כל בני ישראל. לקחתי אותם לי, כי לי כל בכור בבני ישראל, באדם ובבהמה, ביום הכותי כל בכור בארץ מצרים, הקדשתי אותם לי, ואקח את הלוויים, תחת כל בכור בבני ישראל, ואתנה את הלוויים נתונים לארון ולבניו מתוך בני ישראל, לעבוד את עבודת בני ישראל באוהל מועד, ולכפר על בני ישראל, ולא יהיה בבני ישראל נגף בגשת בני ישראל אל הקודש. ויעש משה ואהרון בכל הדת בני ישראל הלוויים ככל אשר ציווה אדוני את משה ללוויים, כן עשו להם בני ישראל. ויתחטאו הלוויים ויחפשו בבגדיהם, וינף אהרון אותם תנופה לפני אדוני, ויכפר עליהם אהרון לטהרם. ואחרי כן באו הלוויים לעבוד את עבודתם באוהל מועד לפני אהרון לפני בניו, כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה על הלוויים, כן עשו להם.
Thank you, Charlie. Yashikoach. You know, Rabbi, I'm going to take everybody to a little bit different place. A little bit later in the Torah reading, because in a few minutes we're going to come to the Mishaberach, the prayer for the ill. And I want to look at a story, a narrative in the Torah reading for this week. Because although I agree with you, there is a joy in service. The Leviim at least knew to retire at the age of 50, by the way. So not a bad gig. 25 to 50, and then see ya, time to enjoy the rest of my life. But sometimes there was distress, and I want to look at something with Moshe and Aaron and Miriam. Moses, of course, as we know, had to deal with a community of kvetchers, right? They were complaining too often, too often. As our friend Herbie Margolis always says, I'm not complaining, I'm just explaining. They complained and complained, they didn't try to explain. They're complaining that they don't have meat. They're complaining that, in Egypt they had meat, out in the desert they don't have meat. So they're all upset about that. And that obviously, look, you and I have to deal with distressed members of the congregation, and it's upsetting, right? You feel that you can't do everything congregants want to have done for them. It's distressing. It's hard. And we can feel Moshe's pain here and his concern. And then right on the heels of that, what happens? If you look at chapter 12, his own family turns against him, right? Miriam and Aaron, his brother and sister, they start speaking against him. And it's got to be a crushing moment for Moshe. He's got to deal with this community of kvetchers. Now he's got his brother and sister, who he really has, that's all he has in this world. I mean, he has a family, but they don't seem to play a big part in his story. He has his own children. We don't hear about them. But they start turning against him, and they start speaking against him. And so what do we find out at that point? Well, his sister comes down with a form of leprosy. And what happens then? What happens at that moment? She's just spoken out against Moses. She's now ill with this disease, this horrible disease of the ancient world. And Aaron comes to Moses and he says to him, look, pray for our sister. Pray for our sister. And Moshe says these words, and you mentioned them, you taught about them in the minyan one day this week. Moshe says, El na rafana la, please God, heal her. Now there are different ways of reading that. There are some who would say, well, El na rafana la, please God, heal her, please. That it expressed an urgency of the most incredible yearning of his soul that his sister be healed. However, when you look at what Rabbi Jacob Milgram writes, and he wrote the classical work of modern commentary, he writes the following. He says that Aaron's need to turn to Moses to help their sister is ironic. Okay? In addressing Moses, he refers to him as his Lord, my Lord. And what does Milgram say? Milgram says that Moshe is caught in a dilemma. On the one hand, Miriam had spoken against him and hurt him badly and deserved, he felt she warranted some punishment. On the other hand, she was still his sister. And so you have this terse, brief prayer where he doesn't even mention her name. It's not like we mention a name in a Mishaberach. So you see Moshe, he knows he has to pray for her. He knows he wants to pray for her. But she's hurt him deeply. And the prayer is uttered, and it is a prayer for healing, but it bespeaks Moshe's own emotional pain about being betrayed by family. And I think what we need to take away from this is that, first of all, we don't have to have the most flowery prayers when we're praying for someone who is ill, okay? People often will say, as I'm sure they've said to you, would you pray for me, pray for someone in my family? Reality is when you say to them, well, what would you like me to pray? They come up with very beautiful words, very beautiful words. But the second takeaway is this. There's a world out there that can really wound us and hurt us a lot. There's a world of people who aren't sensitive enough to our feelings. That's what happens to Moses in this story. And that's why it's so important that family be there to understand the needs, the emotional needs that we may have. The last, Aaron and Miriam should have understood, he's just been through another brutal moment with the people. Let's be there to support him. They didn't get it. They had been there for him so many times. That time they didn't get it. And I think what it says to us is part of what we need in terms of our own emotional intelligence is to appreciate what people need of us, what family needs of us at moments in life and how we can best respond to that. We learn how they failed in that moment, but we also learn that it's so important that we be able to appreciate what it is that we can do to make a family member feel more loved and more cared about. So let's continue on, right? We're going to go back to the Torah reading. We're still in chapter 8. I flipped pages here. So which verse are we on?
We are now going into the 5th Aliyah.
Okay.
So that would be verse 23.
Okay.
Verse 23.
Yes.
Yeah, a beautiful take, Rabbi Klein. Yeshua.
Vaydaber Adonai Moshe lemor zot asher lalevi mi ben chamesh v'eshrim shana v'mala yavo litzavot tzava v'avodat ohel moed ומבין 50 שנה ישוב מצווה עבודה ולא יעבוד עוד. ושירת את אחיו באוהל מועד לשמור משמרת ועבודה לא יעבוד, ככה תעשה ללוויים במשמרותם.
Okay, so we're now going into chapter 9, which is on page 819 in the Eitz Chaim. And this is the chapter that deals with the concept of Pesach Sheni, that anyone who was unable to bring a Pesach offering at the appointed time could do it a month later. And it really is a chapter of second chances, a chapter of thinking about teshuvah, of trying again if we missed the first opportunity. And I'm thinking about that now in reference to what Rabbi Klein just said. How humble and how incredible it was that Moshe was able to offer a second chance on some level to his sister, even after he was hurt so deeply, to be able to turn around and say, I have the humility now to offer you this prayer for healing and to accept you back once more. That idea of teshuvah, which I didn't make the connection earlier between these two moments of our parsha, but I think they are there connected to each other for a reason. So let's look at that text now, chapter 9, learning about Pesach Sheni.
וידבר אדוני אל משה במדבר סיני בשנה השנית לצאתם מארץ מצרים בחודש הראשון לאמור ויעשו בני ישראל את הפסח במועדו ב14 יום בחודש הזה בין 40 תעשו אותו במועדו ככל חוקותיו וככל משפטיו תעשו אותו וידבר משה אל בני ישראל לעשות הפסח ויעשו את הפסח בראשון ב14 יום לחודש בין 40 במדבר סיני ככל אשר ציווה אדוני את משה כן עשו בני ישראל ויהי אנשים אשר היו טמאים לנפש אדם לא יכלו לעשות הפסח ביום ההוא ויקרבו לפני משה ולפני אהרון ביום ההוא ויאמרו הנשים ההמה אליו אנחנו טמאים לנפש אדם למה ניגרע לבלתי הקריב את קרבן אדוני במועדו בתוך בני ישראל ויאמר עליהם משה עמדו ואשמעה מה יצווה אדוני לכם.
As our Siksaviyah.
We'll turn now to the Mishaberach prayer. There are many people in our personal worlds, in the world that we would want to pray for today and offer the prayer that they will have a refuat, a nefesh, refuat aguf, that they'll have a healing of the spirit and a healing of the body. So if you have your Siddur out, it's on page 1. The Mishaberach prayer is on 144. If you don't, when I pause, just mention the names of the people we pray for. Mishaberach, Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzhak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, Hu Yivarech, v'Yirapei et hacholim. Let's mention the names of people. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem Laxikam L'Ropotam V'Yishlach Lem Meher Refuah Shlema Min HaShamayim Refuat HaNefesh Refuat HaGuhuv B'Tol Shacholei Yisrael Shebati Melazok Refuah Karov Alavo Ashta bagala bizman kori, v'nomar amen. Oh God, we pray to you, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Bring blessing and healing to all of those who suffer illness within our congregational family, within our own families, in our community, in this world. May you, O God, mercifully help to restore them to health and vigor, granting them the spiritual and physical well-being that we pray for them, together with all others who are ill. We hope and pray that a healing is at hand, and let us say, Amen. Amen. You know, just before we jump into the Shvi'i, the final Aliyah, I just want to continue the discussion about Miriam just a little bit longer. Because as the Torah reading comes to a conclusion, remember, Miriam has this form of leprosy. She's ill. And she's not ready at that point to journey with the rest of the community. And so what happens? It says as the Torah reading is coming to an end, it says, and Miriam was isolated. She was sheltering in for 7 days, and the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again. And afterward they journeyed. And what does that say to me? What should it say to us? It says sometimes we need to wait. Sometimes we need to be patient. Sometimes we need to give people the opportunity, the time to catch up with us, to rejoin the community, to become a part of us. Sometimes we just can't go ahead without people. And I think that's a lesson that applies in our families, because not everybody is together as a family and in communities. Sometimes we need to be patient, to give people the time they need to find their way back into our lives, and to not exclude them, to not cut them off. It's so easy to do that. It would have been so easy for Moses to say, let's go, we're moving on. But even in that hurt, he understood that Miriam needed to find her way back. And that, I think, is one of the great urgencies of Jewish life today. We have a lot of people that have lost their way Jewishly. And we have to patiently reach out to them, tell them we're still waiting for them to rejoin us. Don't ever come to the conclusion that they're lost forever to us, but let them know that there's a community here waiting for them to rejoin us and travel with us and be a part of the Jewish story forever and ever. So I like the way the story ends. I like the message that it sends. Because, you know, one of the things I find, and I'm sure you find it as well, Rabbi, that, you know, it says that V'shavu vani ligvulam, that sometimes they do come back. And we have to be ready for that. We have to be ready. I just had a story 2 weeks ago, someone who parents had given up on this young man. And then I get a call, and, you know, he's interested. He's in a certain city. Who can he study with? And so we make a connection so he can study with a colleague in another city. And all of a sudden, parents who were ready to just say, it's finished. He's not going to be a part of us anymore. That young man does come back, because the camp waits for him always to come back. So let's go on to Shvi'i Aliyah, and then on to Haftorah.
Vaydaber Adonai Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael lemor, ish ki et amei lanefesho, הדרך רחוקה לכם, או לדורותיכם, וספס לך לאדוני, בחודש השני, ב14 יום, בין 40 יעשו אותו, על מצות ומרורים יאכלוהו, לא ישירו ממנו עד בוקר, ועצם לא ישברו בו, ככל חוקת הפסח יעשו אותו, והאיש אשר הוא טהור, ובדרך לא היה, וחדל לעשות הפסח, ונכרתה הנפש ההיא מימיה, כי קרבן אדוני, לא יקריב במועדו, חטאו יישא האיש ההוא, וכי יגור איתכם גר. ועשה פסח אדוני, כחוקת הפסח, וכמשפטו כן יעשה, חוקת אחד יהיה לכם, ולגר ולאזרח הארץ.
Iko, Charlie.
Beautiful laning. And Rabbi, it is your birthday. So I do want to offer you a Misha Berach. We had arranged for Mariano Rivera to zoom in and to offer the words of Misha Berach, but he had something else that he had to attend to. So I will be offering them to you in his place. I hope
Well, much appreciated, Rabbi.
I hope that's okay.
It's very okay.
Misha Berach, Avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, Hu yevarech et harav Aharon couple ben Mordechai, she'ala hayom lehodot al kol hachasidim asher gamalo Elohim miyom hivaldo ad hayom haz. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishmor oto ve'et kol mishpachto vayishlach bracha v'hatzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yadav im kol Yisrael echav v'nomar amen. All of us are praying, Rabbi, that the God of our ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, will bless you. Grateful to God for the gift of life which you have enjoyed until this day. And may the Kadosh Baruch Hu, may the Holy One continue to bless you with good health, with the pleasures of Torah study, and with the profound satisfaction that you know comes from a life of leading the Jewish people, helping others to do mitzvot, lighting that spark within them to come closer to Torah, and doing ma'asim tovim, good deeds. In celebrating this and other birthdays, may your example, Rabbi Klein, remind us that people may count the days of their lives, but a person of wisdom makes every day count. Thank you for reminding us all of that. Happy birthday. Amen.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very, very much for that. Much appreciated to everybody. So,
and now I'd like for the cantor to join us. Because as we celebrate,
there's Mariano.
Almost. We've just offered the Misha Berach, and I know Cantor would like to sing to you as we celebrate together on Zoom this occasion.
Yeah.
So we've just shared the Misha Berach.
Page 148.
And now we're singing a happy birthday song.
Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Rabbi Klein. Happy birthday to you.
Simen Tovu, Mazel Tov.
And many more. Simen Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Simen Tov, Simen Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Simen Tov, Simen Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Simen Tov. Yeheilanu, 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 ולכל ישראל.
Thank you, Cantor. You know, I was saying to Betty last night, I said, you know, I don't remember a single birthday party from when I was a kid. I just don't remember, but I will remember for the rest of my life that my 69th birthday, you've made it very special, and I'm very, very grateful. But isn't it funny, Charlie, do you have any memories of childhood birthdays?
Yes, our family joke is that there are all these pictures of me at family birthday parties, but my brother apparently never got a family birthday party. So he's always held that against me.
I can't remember a single one,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, other than my bar mitzvah.
Mostly family, mostly.
Yeah.
Well, Rabbi, you certainly deserve it. Mazel tov. It's a beautiful thing, and great you have this memory at least. That was a very special time today and last night.
Do I ever?
To see your face light up at the message was just, it was a present for us all, honestly.
Wow. Yeah. I was literally shaking when I saw Mariano come on. And I've been with him twice. You know, we've taken, because he's been involved with the New York Board of Rabbis. He's a wonderful human being, very devoted to his church, very devoted to acts of chesed in Panama. And the Board of Rabbis, along with his foundation, have raised money together. So he's been with us for two major fundraising events, you know, and he is just a mensch, and his love for Israel is extraordinary. Tremendous supporter of Israel. So that was a gift last night. Howie, everybody, that was a great gift. All right.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Charlie will be chanting for us the words of Zechariah. We're on page 837 in the Eitz Chaim, the vision of the future temple and the menorah, which is at its center, which connects this Haftorah reading to our parasha, the vision of the menorah, from the prophet Zechariah, page 837.
And I dedicate this Haftarah to my wife, Joanne, and my daughter, Pamela, who this was their Haftarah Parsha for their Benot Mitzvah. Joanne's as an adult and Pamela's as a teenager.
Beautiful.
Roni v'simchi batzion ki hineni va v'shachanti v'tochech liyum Adonai v'nilvu goyim rabim el Adonai v'yam ahu v'hayu li le'am v'shachanti v'tochech v'yadad ki Adonai tzevot Shlachani elayich v'nachal Adonai et Yehuda chelko al admat hakodesh uvacharo b'Yerushalayim haspo basar mipnei Adonai ki neor mimon kodsho v'yareini et Yehoshua hakohen hagadol Omed lifnei malach Adonai v'hasatan Omed al yamino l'sidno v'yomer Adonai el hasatan yigar Adonai b'cha hasatan v'yigar Adonai b'cha habocher B'Yerushalayim halozeh u'mutzal me'esh v'Yoshua haya lavush b'gadim tzoim ve'omed lifnei hamalach v'ya'an v'yomer el ha'omdim lefanav lemor hasiru Habegadim hatzoim me'alav vayomer elav re'ei hevarti me'alecha avonecha ve'habesh otecha machalatzod va'omar yasimu Tanif tahor al rosho vayasimu Hatanif hatahor al rosho vayalbushu begadim umalach Adonai obed vayad malach Adonai biyoshua lemor ko amar Adonai tzavod im bidrachai telech ve'im et mishmarti tishmor ve'gam ata tadin et beiti ve'gam tishmor et chatzerai ve'natati lecha malachim bein ha'omdim ha'eleh Shemana Yehoshua HaKohen HaGadol Ata V're'echa HaYoshvim Lefanecha Ki Anshe Mofet Heima Ki Hineni Mevi Et Avdi Tzemach Ki Hinei HaEven Asher Natati Lifnei Yehoshua Al Even Achad Shiva Einayim Hineni Mefateach Pitucha Neum Adonai Tzavot Umashti Et Avon Haaretz Ahi Yom Echad Vayom Ahu Neum Adonai Tzavot Tigrahu Ish L'Reyehu Val Tachat Gefen Val Tachat Te'ena Vayashov Hamalach Hadover Bi Vayeireni Kish Asher Yeor Mishnato Vayomer Elai Ma'ata Roeh Va'omar Raiti Behinei Menorat Zahav Kula Vegula Al Rosha Veshiva Neroteha Aleha Shiva Veshiva Mutzakot Lanerot Asher Al Rosha Ushnaim Zeitim Aleha Echad Mimin Hagula Ve'echad Al Hasmola Va'an Va'omar El Malach Hadover Bi Lemor Ma'ele Adoni Vayan Amalach Hadover Bi Vayomer Elai Halo Yadata Vahema Ele Va'omar Lo Adoni Vayan Vayomer Elai Lemor Zed Var Adonai El Zubabel Lemor Lo V'chayil V'lo V'choach Ki Im Bruchi Amar Adonai Tzavot V'atar Hagadol Lifnei Zubabel Mishor V'hotzi Et ha'even harasha Teshuad Chen Chen La
Yashikoach, Charlie. It's a beautiful Haftorah. Beautifully done.
Great material.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Justice.
Page 148. Cantor, come back into our world. Page 148.
Walk, Charlie.
Cantor, page 148. Good to see you.
Yekom Porkol Min Shemaya. Rab Revaya Imzar, Taflan Shaya Malkada Omadresen. מי שביחד מוסר אברהם יצחק ויעקב ושרה רבקה לכם ולאה הוא יברך את כל הגאון הקדוש הזה עם כל קהילות הקודש הם ובניהם ובנותיהם בכל אשר להם ומי שביחד עם עוד בני ציון סבילה ומי שחי בתוכם יתפלל ומי שנותנים נר למאור ויין לקידוש ולהבדלה ופס לערכים וצדקה לעניים וכל מי שעוסקים בצורכי ציבור ובבניין ארץ ישראל באמונה הקדוש ברוך הוא ישלם שכרם ויסיר מהם כל מחלה וירפא לכל גופם ויסלח לכל עוונם וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם עם כל ישראל אחיהם ונאמר
The prayer for the state for our country on page 148. Eloheinu v'le'avotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings for our country, for its government, for its leaders and advisors, for all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insights from your Torah that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness, prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide in our midst. Creator of all flesh, bless all the inhabitants of our country with your spirit. May citizens of all races and creeds forge at long last a common bond in true harmony, to banish the hatred and the bigotry, and to safeguard the ideals and the free institutions that are the pride and glory of this great country. May this land under your providence, O God, be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting all people, but first our own, in peace and in freedom, helping them to fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war anymore. And let us say, Amen.
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 Avinu Shabashamayim, rock and redeemer of the people Israel, bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Shield it with your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace, guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them. Crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Page 151, Ashrei.
Ashrei Oshrei Beitecha, O Yahweh Chasela. Ashrei Am Shekafalo, Ashrei Am Shadonai Elohav, Tehila LeDavid Avicha. Dor LeDor Sheba Masem Avonetecha, Yagidu Adak B'Davu. פותח את ידיך וסביר לכל חי רצון צדיק. תהילת אדוני דבר בי בברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד ואנחנו נברך יה מעתה ועד עולם הללויה.
Let's turn now to our Musaf Amidah for Shabbat. On page 156b, we'll be led by the cantor in our opening blessings for the Musaf Amidah, and then turn to page 158, where we'll offer our own private prayers from page 158 through the pages that follow with the conclusion of the Amidah on page 161.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Vehanora El Elyon Go melech hasanim tovim bekolei hakor לזוכר חסדי אהבות, ומנהיגו אל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ובוקק שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. סמך נופלים ורופאי חולים, ומדין אסונים, ומקיים באמונתו. Mishene afar, mi kamohamage murat, mi domela, melech memitu mechaye umatzmiach Yeshua, venemonato lehachayot metim. Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hamedim.
Amen.
שדלנו בזמנו לארצנו ותדענו בגבולנו ושם נזרנו ונעשינו תמידים כסדרנו זופים כפסם וביום השבוע שנכנסים ונשנות ממש נעשנו ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי גם מקדשי שביעי כולם ישמעו ויזמרו מטובך Nasze wielki zobowiązane.
Modim אנחנו.
ונצרנו כשאלות פיזם משמש. מודים אנחנו עכשיו.
Yalkul Amidah. Loi hatov shich.
שים שלום טוב וברכה חיים וחסד חיים לנו כל שלומך כל העולם. Yalla la 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 la. Yalla la 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 la. Yalla la 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 la. Yalla la la la. Yalla la la la. Yalla la la la. Yalla la 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 la. Yalla la la la. Yalla la la la. Yalla la la la.
I hope that was a reflective moment as you were praying the Amidah. You were able to really dig deep in your prayers and to call out in all the ways that are meaningful for you this Shabbat. But we'll turn now together to page 182, Ein Keloheinu, which will lead us toward Aleinu and then our Mourner's Kaddish, where we'll have our Zoom minion join us for the Kaddish. Page 182, Ein Keloheinu.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemalteinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Micheloheinu, Michadoneinu, Michemalteinu, Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adoneinu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu. Eloheinu Baruch Adonai Baruch Malkeinu Baruch Moshienu Atahu Eloheinu Atahu Adoneinu Atahu Malkeinu Atahu Moshienu Atahu Shehikiru Ahavoteinu And if I could beg everybody's indulgence, I'd like to take just a quick moment and look at this prayer at the bottom of the page for this special weekend. I want to sing the last verse of it, Lemana Chai V'rei Ai, but please read the English. I think it's really important for this time, talking about learning Torah and increasing peace, and being a real builder of peace. And I think the last lines, Lemana Chai V'rei Ai, really are something that I wanted to give as a little tribute for Rabbi Klein's birthday, because I think the words, if you read the translation in English, is a beautiful blessing and very much what Rabbi Klein offers us. May peace reside within you. For the sake of the house of Adonai, I will seek your welfare. Lemana Chai. Lemana Chai V'rei Ai. Lemana Chai V'rei Ai. Adabrono, Adabrono, Shalom, Lemana Chai V'rei Ai, Lemana Chai V'rei Ai, Adabrono, Adonai, Adonai, Yevarech, et amo, et amo, et amo.
Thank you, Cantor. Thank you very much.
May we all have increased peace in the world.
Yes, indeed. Amen. Mourner's Kaddish, right? We're going on to Aleinu, right?
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol l'teinu l'yotzeh b'shlishi shelo asanu k'goyi ha'aratzot velo samanu k'mishkavado adama shelo sam l'kelkeinu kahem v'gol aleinu k'kol hamodam ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוגע שמיים ויוצר הארץ ומושב יקרא בשמם כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים הארץ מתחת אין עוד אלוקים נקבלו אדוני אלוהינו לראות מהירו בסמל לדבר כי המלכות שלך היא מעטים לא בכבודך כתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר היה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah v'yomad yivra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kari v'yamru amen Yehei shmei rabbah meborach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipoar v'yitramam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kutsha b'richu elah min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram v'yoma v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
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 Amen. Amen. It's Howie's time.
Shabbat shalom to everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, Howie.
It's wonderful to spend this Shabbat with you. Although we are not physically together, I do feel the love and the connection, and there's a tremendous ruach. And I want to thank, of course, Rabbi Klein and Rabbi Dermer, Cantor Rashovsky, and Charlie Skop for providing a wonderful Shabbat service for all of us to enjoy. So, as you all know, today is Rabbi Klein's birthday. And as you also know, we, thanks to a suggestion from our Vice President, Josh Diamond, we had a wonderful surprise at the end of the Kabbalah Shabbat service yesterday for Rabbi. And he had a personal birthday message from one of his all-time favorite Yankees, Mariano Rivera. And as somebody commented to me, it was the first time in 42 years that Rabbi Klein was speechless. And it was amazing to see. And we will hopefully share the video with you after Shabbat is over, so you can all see Mariano's message to the rabbi and his reaction as well. You know, the more I think about it, I don't think it's a coincidence, Rabbi, that you were born on 6/13. And I know that you had intentions to be either a lawyer or a doctor early on in your college years, but you found your calling to become a rabbi. And we all know that there are 613 mitzvot in the Torah. And of course, these mitzvot form a personal covenant between us and God. But you as our rabbi for an amazing 42 years have truly taught each one of us how to strengthen our own personal connection between ourselves and God. So I, along with the entire congregation, want to wish you many more years of health and mazel, along with Betty and your beautiful family. So mazel tov on your birthday.
Thank you so much, Howie. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Everything about this day, you know, it's in the midst of this incredibly difficult time. You gave me a great day. You really all lifted me up. And I think we all need that in a time like this. And I thank you, really, all of you, sincerely from the bottom of my heart.
You know, I think during this time we're all realizing how precious each day is, and we need to make the best of every day.
Amen.
So, again, happy birthday.
Thanks,
I also want to wish a Yasher Koach to Rabbi Dermer and the teens for organizing yesterday's giving out Shabbat in a bag. And many congregants came by and they received the bag with Shabbat candles, 2 challah rolls, and grape juice. And it was a wonderful gesture on our part, and especially the teams that organized everything. So I want to thank them for that. And I personally took a bike ride over, and I took 2 bags with me because, as I told one of the teens that gave it to me, in case I get lost on the way home, I won't go hungry. So I took 2 bags with me of the rolls and the grape juice. So it was very beautiful. The only message I want to share is I want to encourage everybody to join our semi-annual congregational meeting this Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. It'll be on our regular Zoom login. So please join us. You'll be hearing from our rabbis, myself. You'll also be hearing from our incoming president, Howard Teagle, if he's voted in that night. I hope there's no opposition coming his way, but I'm pretty sure there won't be. So with that, again, I want to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom and enjoy the beautiful day. It's nice and sunny outside. Take care.
Thank you, Howie. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Cantor. Pleasure to share this with you, Charlie. Yasher Koach, as usual.
Can I interject one brief announcement?
Of course.
We put a call out to the community to nominate members within the community who are doing good deeds, who are doing tikkun olam, helping to repair our world and helping to make our world, our community, a better place. And we had a few members who were nominated for this week. And my hope is that this will be a tradition for some time, at least while we're on live stream, of sharing with the larger community what some of those members of our MJC family are doing to improve the world and to make the world a better place. So
we need a drum roll.
A drum roll, please. This is our first one. And don't forget to nominate members who you know are doing great things and who deserve to be recognized more fully, what we call hakarat hatov, recognizing the good. So our first mentions are for Dana Knox, who never misses an opportunity to help others. Lois Stein, for her social work, social justice work, and her volunteering with the organization Strong Youth and volunteering on a suicide prevention line. And lastly, the daughter of Stephen and Joy Kravitz, Samara, who's working as a nurse at the ICU at Mount Sinai, caring for children and adults who have been infected with COVID-19 and really on the front lines helping them. So a Yesher Koach to those 3, and please do nominate more members who are doing good, and we'll continue to recognize all the good that we're doing. Thanks, everyone.
Wonderful. And we thank them all very much for what they do. Yeah. Kiddush. Okay. That's right.
ששת ימים עשו אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש זכור את יום השבת לקדשו ששת ימים תעבוד בעשיך במלאכתך וביום השביעי שבת אדוני אלוהיך לא תעשה כל מלאכה אתה ובנך וביתך אהבתך ועמסת ובהמתך וגירך אשר בישורך כי ששת ימים עשו אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ את היום ואת כל אשר בם וינח ביום השביעי על כן ביחד אדוני יום השבת ויקדשהו סברים אברהם ורבנו ורבותיי ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הנפש.
Amen.
L'chaim, everybody, l'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. Adon Olam.
Adon Olam, Asher Malach. Terem kol yetzir nivra. Ve'ein nasa v'chem zokol. Azai melech shem lo nikra. Me'acharei kiflot hakol. לבדו ימלוך דורו, והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו, להכבירה, ולראשית ולתכלית, ולא העוז והמזרח. לתורכם לימי צרה, וכוליתי ובנותי, ונתותי ביומך, בידו תדרוכי, והייתי שם בהוריך, ואמרוכי, Adonai li Elohim, Adonai lama Asher malach, B'terem kol yitzir nivra, Ve'ein nasa v'chem zokol, Azai melech shemo nikra.
Thanks for a beautiful Shabbos morning, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.